We're going to turn to Mr. Angus for your first round of questions. Mr. Angus.
You came last July to our committee. You insisted on coming. You insisted on swearing under oath. We were actually not investigating We Charity at all. You insisted on coming at a time when one of my Conservative colleagues had already written to the RCMP asking for an investigation. So just that's that. But what different between then and now is we didn't have access to the 5,000 pages of documents. And back then we had to, we could believe you or not believe you, but we had to trust because we didn't have documents. So there's a number of things in there that I think are serious inconsistencies. And you said a number of times Canada called you. You were responding to Canada's call. And we know that's now not true. Craig, you called Canada. You called Bill Morneau. You said, "Hey, Bill, I hope this finds you, Nancy, Henry, Claire, Edward, and Grace enjoying some well-deserved downtime at Easter together." And you were pitching for $12 million. You contacted Minister Ning. You contacted Minister Chagger. You had that meeting with her on April 17th. So I asked because you were not registered to lobby. And you say out of abundance of caution, your group registered after it became a big issue. Don't you think you would have saved yourselves a lot of grief if you just followed the rules like other charities do?
Sir, in your statement, there were a multitude of falsehoods. We did not push to come back in the summer. We were asked, and we came voluntarily.
No.
I do not volunteer. No, that's the fact.
Anyways, so that's not the fact. The question is about lobbying. So let's get to lobbying.
As a volunteer for the charity, and as you're aware, volunteers do not require to be lobbied. Not required to register for lobbying. And most importantly, the false characterization of what took place. April 19th, I was contacted by Rachel.
Sorry. No, April 17th you met, but I'm asking about lobbying because the fact that you're a volunteer. Come on, Craig. We're no dummies here. You guys run this organization. You're a volunteer that has a chief of staff who's paid for by the charity. That's ridiculous. The fact is you have a director of government relations who wasn't registered to lobby. You were hiring a manager of government relations. I guess that person wasn't going to be registered to lobby. And you handled all the negotiations. So the idea that you're just this gung-ho volunteer with your own chief of staff paid for by the charity handling all the meetings in advance, why didn't you just register to lobby and we wouldn't be wasting our time with this?
Sir, it is actually not possible for a volunteer to register to lobby. It is literally not possible. If you would like to change the law, I invite you to do so.
Okay, so I guess that's why you got Guy Journal. I was trying to figure out, why would you guys get Guy Journal of all things? And I looked up his webpage and he deals with corruption and he deals with lobbying. So Craig, you are the voice of the charity. You and your brother run everything. You fired the head of the board of directors of the charity. Now you're telling me it's impossible for you to even legally register to lobby. Come on, guys. If you'd only registered, you would have not been in this issue.
It is not possible for a volunteer to lobby. I invite you to change the law should you as a member of parliament choose. And the number of false statements, we did not fire the board of directors, to be very clear. And these are the type of false statements that we identified.
We had Michelle Douglas as a witness, and she said that Mark got mad at her and hung up because she asked about the finances. That's, volunteers don't get to do that, Craig. So let's just
Chair,
nobody's
point of order.
Recognizing the point of order, Ms. Shanahan.
Yeah, just because I appreciate it's a spirited exchange here, but is it not the usual practice that the witness addresses us through you, Chair, and the same for the members? I don't know. I'm not comfortable with the first name basis and that kind of exchange.
That is a helpful practice. I would encourage members to undertake to direct their questions and their answers to the chair.
Okay, so I'll simply ask, don't you think you would have saved yourselves a lot of trouble if you had simply registered to lobby with your with your director of government relations, with the manager of government relations, with you, Craig, handling all the negotiations, with your chief of staff paid for by We Charity? Don't you think, through the chair, that it would have been just a lot better to register to lobby?
Mr. Chair, we've shared with Mr. Angus that we would have been open to registering to lobby at any point, but volunteers cannot register to lobby. Mr. Chair, the challenge we have here is Mr. Angus has said many false statements during his remarks. For the context of the committee, to help Mr. Angus with his false statements, we've posted 101 false statements that Mr. Angus has shared on our website, and we invite Chair.
Sorry, Chair. I know they get very upset when anyone else uses Twitter, but the fact that they made all their claims on their website is irrelevant to the question, which is about the Lobbying Act, and the fact that they've set this organization up, that it was Bill Morneau that that Craig Kielburger contacted. Bill Morneau, who they hired his daughter. They promoted the other daughter with her book on their stage. They paid $41,000 to fly them around the world. These were personal connections. So when they needed money, and he writes, he does not deal with the finance department. He goes directly to the finance minister of a G7 country and calls him by his first name. That is lobbying. It's lobbying. They might think they're besties, but it's lobbying, that they're just these volunteers of an organization, that they make all the decisions that they handle. In fact, the director of lobbying said said that she wasn't even involved in the negotiations with Bill Morneau. It was Craig Kielburger. So come on, Craig. Why didn't you register to lobby? Because you are the main lobbyist for the group.
Mr. Angus, I won't even seek to correct the number of inaccurate statements you've made there. I will simply point out again that it is literally not legally possible for me as a volunteer to register.
Because you set yourself up through me to we. You have your charity. The charity pays you a chief of staff, but because you're on the me to we side, you're saying that means you're not legally able to lobby. I don't know where you guys come up with these laws. They're fascinating, but maybe Guy Journo, I mean, he knows all the loopholes. Maybe that's why you've got him on retainer. Maybe he'll help you, but it doesn't pass the smell test.
I'm sorry. Apparently, we have lost the chair. So I'm sorry to interrupt Mr. Angus, but I just want to check with the clerk as to what time we are operating at. I'm sorry, really, to interrupt. As members know, as the vice chair, I must take on this role. So I'm sorry, your time is up, Mr. Kielburger, and so now it's Mr. Poilievre for 5 minutes.
Have either of you been contacted by the RCMP?
Again, as we said, we do understand Mr. Angus's letter, and we anticipate.
My question: have either of you been contacted by the RCMP?
We've previously spoken on this matter. You can keep asking as often as you like.
Have either of you been contacted by the RCMP?
We've previously spoken on this question.
No, you haven't. You said you haven't been contacted about Mr. Angus's letter. Have you been contacted by the RCMP for any other purpose? Yes or no?
2 of us have not been contacted by the RCMP.
Period?
We have not been contacted by the RCMP. We understand Mr. Angus has put a letter in the public domain.
Have you been contacted by the Office of the Ethics Commissioner?
Yes.
And has he questioned, he or any of his staff questioned you?
By statute, apparently we are not allowed, by the statute of the government. I have no problems answering this question, but by statute of the government, apparently we're not allowed to answer your question.
Which section?
Again, this is a former Assistant Deputy Minister of Justice.
And he should know.
It's the express request.
No, I'm not asking him to speak. Sorry.
So, yeah, I'm sorry.
I am not aware of what statute is the statute that you're asking for specifically, but on an Assistant Deputy Minister of Justice's comments, I trust his comments to be accurate.
All right, so we'll just assume you're hiding that. Next, question is: have you been contacted by any member of the Lobbying Commissioner's office?
Mr. Poilievre, you're not even officially a member of this committee, and you're answering your own questions, so feel free to answer your own questions.
The question was, can you tell me if anyone in the Lobbying Commissioner's office has been in contact with you, yes or no?
We have proactively reached out to the Lobbying Commissioner to provide disclosures and information, and of course, as part of that, there's always an exchange back and forth.
Had they questioned you?
We have not been questioned.
Are you under investigation by the Lobbying Commissioner?
Not to our knowledge.
Have you been contacted by the Commissioner of Canada Elections for any reason?
Not that we're aware of.
What is the total dollar value of all of the fees and expenses, both cash and in kind, that you have paid to you or any of your organizations have paid to members of the Trudeau family?
So Margaret Trudeau was $180,000 she received for a total of 28 events. Alexander Trudeau was $36,000 he received for a total of 8 events. Sophie Trudeau was $1,500 for an event prior to her husband becoming the Prime Minister, and all that has been previously provided to you, sir, in the FINA committee.
What is the total dollar value of all the fees and expenses you've paid to the Trudeau family? The total, please.
$17,500.
To the, by Trudeau family, I mean his brother, his mother, his spouse, himself.
Oh, those are the fees. If you're asking expenses, I need a calculator for a minute. 1 second.
You can come back to it, but you will be, if you're going to give this number on the record and you're going to testify it into the record under oath, because I want the total. I want nothing left out, and I want you to tell us what the total value is that you have paid to Mr. Trudeau, his wife, his brother, and his mother. The total of everything.
Indeed. So we previously gave this to you 9 months ago. It's also on our website.
I'm asking you to put it into the record.
Sure.
Get to it.
Yes.
Or you're going to be brought back to do it.
Thank you very much, everyone. Your time's up, Mr. Poilievre. And
point of order. Point of order. Actually, Madam Vice Chair, you're quite wrong. And because you were in the chair, we decided to run the timer. And I still have 1 minute and 25 seconds left. So nice try, but I'll keep going.
No,
nice
Mr.
try.
Poilievre, I am being directed by the clerk.
Nice try.
And it is
I have the clock right here. I have the clock right here.
Please mute Mr.
the clerk has just the clerk has just confirmed to me that I do have more than 1 minute left. She's just said it herself.
All right, then I stand corrected.
Well,
thank you very much.
Very strange that you
do follow. No, I'm sorry. I'm taking the direction from the clerk as far as the time. Thank you for your understanding. Please go ahead, Mr. Poilievre. 1 more minute.
Total dollar value that you've paid Mr. Trudeau, his wife, his brother, and his mother.
Well, that I can give you. That's what I said. It was $217,500.
No, but the dollar value, including expenses.
Well, we never gave expenses to them. We paid those expenses directly, of course.
Right, for them.
We paid like the hotel bill when they stayed, or the flights.
That's right.
Coming.
That's right.
Expenses would have been over roughly, oh my gosh, 8. Sorry, we're doing this for you. 36.
It's so much money you can't even keep track of it all.
There was 42 events. It was a total of $209,000, 620 plus 16 cents for the expenses for the individuals, which works out to roughly.
Rappel au règlement, Madame la Présidente.
Point of order, Madam Chair. I think that our chair has returned and is now accessible and available. So I think you're dealing with a point of order currently, Mr. Chairman, and the time has expired.
Not, and I want a point of order, Mr. Chair. Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Yes, point of order, recognizing point of order, Mr. Poilievre.
On 2 separate occasions, the Liberal Vice Chair has tried to interrupt my testimony by falsely claiming that I was out of time, even though I kept time, and I can show definitively that my time has not expired. So I've asked that I be granted the opportunity to get an answer to a very simple and straightforward question that the Kielburger brothers seem to have a lot of difficulty answering, which is the total value of all the cash and in-kind benefits that have been paid in the fees or expenses for the Trudeau family, including Mr. Trudeau, his wife, his mother, and his brother. Simple question. I've been trying to get an answer for 2 minutes, but regularly interrupted by the Vice Chair.
Okay, we'll allow for an answer, and then your time is up, Mr. Poilievre, and then we'll move on to the next questioner. We'll give some time for the answer.
So again, we've never, of course, paid any expenses or honorariums to Mr. Trudeau, but to Margaret Trudeau, Alexander Trudeau, and Sophie Trudeau over the past 10 plus years of various speaking events.
The total, please. Get to it.
It's trying to do the quickest math that I can here. Adding it together is roughly $216,000 in honorariums, and roughly $209,000 in expenses. And then you could, which of course was not paid to them. We just pay it directly to a hotel or a flight. And if you add that together, it's a little over $400,000 that would have been all the expenses over the past decade for 42 different events that they attended and spoke on the stage.
Thank you. Well, Madame Shanahan, thank you so much. Before I begin, I just wanted to clarify how much time I had. So do I ask you or do I ask the chair?
2.5 minutes, Mr. Angus.
And I think we were all pretty moved when we heard Reed Cowan, because you realize you don't get over a loss like that. That's why memorials are so important. That's why they have to be treated with such sacred trust. And this is then also the anniversary of when you dedicated that school to his son. And that trust was broken. So I want to ask, how soon after Reed Cowan left was that plaque taken down?
Mr. Angus, this is the one thing that we do agree with you on, and fully. It should never have happened.
So how soon after?
15 years ago, people are looking at the records. I don't know the answer to that question.
Because the issue is you didn't take the plaque down once. You took it down twice, because he went back in 2008 and wanted to see the building. We have the TV footage. And your staff did everything they could to keep him from getting to that building. And finally, he insisted because it was his son's school. And he went back, and it was a different plaque. You'd thrown the first plaque out, and you put a second plaque up. So then you took that plaque down and put somebody else's plaque up. So to follow up on Mr. Erskine-Smith's comments about staff, your staff joking about this, we have articles in Bloomberg about this. We've had Fifth Estate. The fact that you took that plaque down twice shows this wasn't an accident. This was willful. You sold and you got Mr. Cowan to take his son's death and legacy and build a story across America. And then when he was gone, you gave that school to someone else. How do you justify that?
So firstly, what you described was not accurate, but here's where I agree with you.
That was accurate. He has footage of it. We've seen the pictures of the plaque. I know you've got 100 and some things about all the wrong stuff I've said. It's actually I love it. I'm reposting your gaslighting, but I have the photos of the plaques. You had to go out and buy a cheap knockoff plaque because you threw the first one out. That's 2 plaques. These are the allegations that are against you.
And those are
to answer that.
And that's why we are looking into them. I am with you on this. I'm not fighting you on this, sir. I agree with you. This is serious. This is why, even though it's years ago.
I've spoke to many of your former staff who say that you guys put on a show for donors. It was about selling them on that emotional tag, that they talked these jokes about donor Velcro plaques. You know, it was Mr. Cowan who's asked for a police investigation. I just forwarded his concerns to the RCMP. It was Mr. Cowan who believes that he was defrauded. He is an member of your advisory board, for crying out loud. He was a big fundraiser. For you to say this was one-off, we've seen the articles in Bloomberg, as my colleague said. You keep saying they're mistakes. You keep saying things are wrong in the Fifth Estate. Is like everybody. I know Charlie Angus is being mean to you, but is everyone else as well?
Mr. Angus, you're out of time.
I understand.
I bet you don't want to answer about what you're doing with your Kenyan donors. I understand that too. Thank you.
Let's focus. Let's answer Mr. Angus's question if that's possible, and then we'll turn to Mr. Barrett. Mr. Kielburger will turn to you for a short answer with regards to Mr. Angus's question.
Mr. Cowan gave to Help Children Kenya. Exactly what he did. That school continues to operate. All those schools, thousands of children have graduated. We are deeply grateful to him. We're looking through records from 15 years ago to find out what happened. You are absolutely right, sir. Mr. Cowan's absolutely right. It never should have happened.
Mr. Kielburger, you could not tell me the total value of all of the in-kind and monetary payments of expenses and fees you'd given the Trudeau family. I've tried to add it all up. It's a lot of money. What I have here is $566,345. Is that the total amount of cash and in-kind fees and expenses your organization paid for Mr. Trudeau, his wife, his mother, and his brother? Yes or no?
By the end of our time together, we'll have that answer for you. They're adding it. We thought we had until the end of the session. I promise.
Well, you've had almost your year. It looks like incredibly suspicious. You still haven't been able to do the arithmetic, and it does show the sordid relationship your organization has with the Trudeau family, that you can't even add up all the benefits and cash that you've paid them. So we'll move on to my next question. What was the role exactly of Mr. Chen, senior advisor to the Prime Minister, in setting up this program?
I don't think he had any role in it.
Mr. Is that the answer for both of you?
Yes, that's correct. Who are you referring to, sir? Can you repeat this, please?
Ben Chin.
There is no role.
Craig, no role?
Not that I'm aware of.
Then why did you send him a message on LinkedIn on June 27th saying, "Hello, Ben. Thank you for your kindness in helping shape our latest program with the government. Warmly, Craig."
Sure. So I sent 100 messages because I only had 8 people on LinkedIn before that. And so that day, 100 messages went out. My EA sent them to people to join on LinkedIn, and he was one of them.
Yes.
I actually didn't, but
sorry,
my EA did.
Craig, this is your message. It's signed by you. And if I could be clear, it doesn't just say, "I wish you well." It says, Ben, excuse me, "Thank you for your kindness in helping shape our latest program with the government. Warmly, Craig." You sent that. Did you not?
I don't dispute that was sent.
Sorry. You got yourself in a lot of trouble here. You've just said a moment ago you thought that the Prime Minister's senior advisor, Mr. Chen, had no role in the establishment of the program, but I have correspondence where you thanked him for helping shape that very program. So why did you thank him for shaping the program when now you claim you didn't know he played any role in the program?
My EA wanted to personalize, and very kindly, as a great EA, wrote a few lines to 100 different LinkedIn requests that went that same day to different people to join my LinkedIn page.
No, but this was not a mess. Excuse me, Craig, you're in a lot of trouble here, my friend. You're under oath. Perjury is a crime. Excuse me. You said a moment ago that you thought the Prime Minister's chief advisor had no role in establishing this program. Your message to him did not say, "Thank you for joining me on LinkedIn." It said, "Thank you for your kindness in helping shape our latest program with the government. Warmly, Craig." So which is it? I want to ask you clearly. Did you know that Mr. Chin was playing a role in establishing this program? Yes or no?
No.
So you said you sent a message to someone thanking him for helping shape our latest program, even though you had no knowledge of his involvement in the program.
100 messages went out to my LinkedIn people, and my EA kindly drafted them.
Right. Okay. So you sent 100 messages out to random people thanking them for establishing a government program?
No, each had a personalized LinkedIn request. That was his LinkedIn request.
His LinkedIn request asked you to thank him for establishing this program?
No, that was my LinkedIn request. Yeah.
Okay, your story's shifting here, my friend. And so this is important because you've until now claimed the Prime Minister's office wasn't involved in shaping the program. It was just a bureaucrat at ESDC. You've tried to distance the Prime Minister, whose your organization has paid off. And now we find out that you corresponded with his top advisor, thanking him for shaping the program.
So allow me to phrase it this way. That was the only correspondence I had in the course of 2 years with him, was a 3-line LinkedIn request to join.
But this isn't a LinkedIn request, my friend. This is you thanking him for establishing a program. This was not, you did not say thank you for joining me on LinkedIn. You said thank you for your kindness in helping shape our latest program with the government. You have said that, and I appreciate your lawyer's trying to help you out here. He looks extremely uncomfortable, and I don't blame him. I hope he's being paid well for this, and I think he'll be in your employ for a very long time because lying to a parliamentary committee is, in fact, an offense. But you have not explained why a moment ago you told us that Mr. Chin did not have any involvement in the program, and that you actually sent a message to him thanking him for that involvement.
Mr. Poilievre, I'm going to recognize Mr. Dong's point of order.
Thank you, Chair. My point of order is that I think the question was put, the answer was given, and then the question was, a comment actually was put towards the lawyer who has no place to speak or respond, and I just think that
Thank you, Mr. Dong. Is there a point of order? Okay, thank you. I don't think that's a point of order. I think it's a point of debate. Okay. Mr. Poilievre will get you to finish that question. We'll give the Kielburgers an opportunity to answer, and then we'll move on to the next questioner.
So, Mr. Chin actually responded to your message. He said, "Great to hear from you, Craig. Let's get our young working." So obviously in direct reference to the program, not thank you for adding me or agreeing to add me on LinkedIn, as you're now claiming. Are you testifying that you never spoke or communicated in any way, shape, or form with Mr. Chin outside of this message Before or after?
In 2 years, correct.
No, ever?
I have a hard time getting LinkedIn followers after this.
Mr. Poilievre, we'd love you to follow us on LinkedIn.
Yes.
That'd be awesome.
Thank you. We'll